So we're ready to start refitting the new components now. I've cleaned the drivetrain guide with some GT85 and some brake cleaner. I've cleaned out the sprocket housing and the sprocket cover, got rid of all that old gunky grease. In the factory manual they do say that you should apply some copper grease to the splines, so I've done that. So we're going to refit the sprocket. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to put this bolt in finger tight. It does call for us to put a bit of Loctite on the bolt, but I'm not going to do that just yet till I'm ready to tighten it. So I'm just going to wind this in by hand for now, just to hold the sprocket where I want it to be, and I will take it back out and put some Loctite and then we'll torque it up. I'm going to now fit the rear wheel. I just want to show you, this is the rear brake caliper obviously, and this is the carrier. There's a slot there, you'll notice, and there's a little nub there, so that goes on there. So you want to make sure that that is in position before you go to refit the wheel. And then as you can see, the spindle bolt will go through and hold that in position. Is that going to stay on there? Hopefully it will. I've cleaned and greased the spindle, just so it will come out easier in the future. And then don't forget your blocks, your chain adjuster blocks. As you can see, that's got two slots. That's what holds the spindle that in when you tighten it up. And then we've got another block that's going to go in there, but I'll refit that in a minute. So I'll just grab the wheel. So as you can see, I've pushed that back in, it just pushes in, it's quite simple. So now we're going to refit the wheel. So we need to get the brake disc engaged in the brake caliper, which I think is going to be a bit of a mission, but it's doable. And I'm just going to roll that up to there, like that. Yeah, I think we're there. There we go, it just takes a bit of fiddling, just got to be a bit patient. And then I'm going to slide, and then probably be easier with two people, to be fair, but obviously I'm going to do this on my own. So what I'm going to do is slide that up, slide that up.
Oh, just push this. Oh, that's it. It's just stopping.
You can see it's quite fiddly.
I can give you a little bit of a hand. There you go.
There we go. And then we can get that through. And then we can refit our block, and then a nut and washer will go on, and then you just want to make sure that your carrier is located, which you can see it, and that your pads are in okay, and that your wheel slides okay, which it does. We've got the new chain on now. We're ready to refit the joining link. It's a DID chain that we're fitting, and as you can see in the kit, there's our link. There's 4 O-rings and some grease, and what we're going to do first is put 2 O-rings on there, and then we're going to pop a little bit of grease on there, like that. Like that, and we'll put some on the link as well. On the, we'll pop that through. There you go. And I've actually got a bit on my fingers here, so I'll just pop that on there. Like that. Now we've got to get the joining plate on. I think this is going to be a bit tight. I might have to use the tool to pop this on. So what I ended up doing was taking all the anvils out of my tool and just using the holes. So what we've got to do is get this side link pushed on, but you don't want to have it too tight because it will make the chain all bind up. We're aiming for about 2mm protrusion. You ideally want to get yourself some vernier calipers so you can actually measure the protrusion. As you can see there, we've got about 1.3, about 1.2, 1.3 there. So So I'm just going to gently work this and hopefully get my 2mm. So I'll just pop that on there. Just squeeze it up a little bit, not too much. Definitely don't want to rush this. Just want to take your time, and you want to get the link ideally square as well. Just start to see it squeezing the O-rings now, so I don't really want to go too much more if I can help it. Like that. Just make sure these are zeroed, which they are. 1.6, 1.5. Nearly there. Not far to go now. Also, here's a little bit of trial and error. 1.7, 1.8. We're close. Obviously, if you're fitting a different maker chain other than a DID, then you'd need to consult their information to see what they suggest. And the same, which we're going to get to in a minute, is flaring the link out. There is a tolerance for that as well. So close. Right, we're on 2mm there, and we're just 1.9, so just the tiniest bit on that top one. Just the tiniest bit. Don't really want to go too far. 0.1 of a mil. Bit like filling up at the petrol pumps when you want to get to 10 or 20 pound and you go over. That's what this is going to be. I'm going to be rolling over. On my particular chain tool, there's a little rivet tip that you put in. There should have been a little spring, but I lost that. So I'm just going to wind that in, like so. And then there's a little anvil that you need to use. I'll just get that out of the way, there we go. Now, in regards to flaring these rivets, most chain manufacturers will give you a measurement, and in our case it's 0.217 to 0.228 of an inch, thousandths of an inch I'm guessing that is, or I've converted it to millimetres, 5.511 to 5.79, or alternatively what you could do is you could just measure the rivet you got there, and that they're about 5.6, 5.7 mil. So that's all we need to do. So what we're going to do is, I'll pop that on there like that. We'll get that close where we need to be. Trying to do this so you can actually see. Just hopefully this is going to flare this end over for me. If she's tight. So we've finally got their links peened over. I'll just show you on this tool, mine's slightly different to most I guess, is that you can just see you've got that little raised portion which fits in there, and then you just wind it against it and it'll peen it over slightly. And just to show you, if we go on there, I've got it on inches scale at the moment, 0.22, 0.23, so we're slightly over on that one, but so they are peened over to spec. We're ready to adjust the chain slack now. The spec on this bike is 30mm, midway between the two sprockets. I have measured up and it's around here somewhere is the middle. I've adjusted the chain adjusters up and just going to go from the top of that link there hopefully. So it's just about on the 5, 10, 20. In fact it's slightly over 30, but I think that will, it's better to have it a little bit loose because this chain is going to wear in slightly. To do the alignment you can either use the alignment marks down the swinging arm, or like I've shown in previous videos, we're going to use this Profi cap, which is the laser tool that we're going to put along the sprocket. So you just turn it on, hold it on the inside of the sprocket, and then you can see where the thing is, and then you just follow the line up, and as you can see that's pretty spot on that. So we know that our chain is running true. So once you're happy with that, what I tend to do is just jam an old rag or cloth into the sprocket, and it just helps it bite in while you tighten it up. The torque for this nut is 120 Newton meters. So we'll get that torqued up. So I'm just pushing forward on the back wheel so that cloth bites into the sprocket. The idea is that will push the wheel and spindle against the chain adjusters. Obviously if you're doing this, make sure the bike is adequately supported. You don't want it falling over on you. And there we go. And now we're ready just to we're ready to do up our chain adjusters now. So we're just going to hold that one there, it's a 10 and a 13mm, and just do that up like that, and I'll do the same on the other side. Having got the chain tension correctly and the rear wheel nut torqued up and the chain adjusters tight, we just now need to torque the front sprocket nut up, or bolt, sorry. In the factory manual they do recommend putting some Loctite on it. You don't need to go mad with the Loctite, because if you ever need to get it off again you could be causing yourself problems. So what we're going to do is just going to put a little dab. This is medium strength Loctite. I'm just going to put a little dab on there, and then we can screw this in. You just need to be careful with this washer, it has got that hole that sits on the second washer, so you need to make sure that they're nice and flat to each other. I've popped the bike in second gear, got my trusty torque wrench, 50 Newton meters, 50. So let's see how we get on. There we go. That's now torqued up. Probably going to need to leave this sprocket bolt about an hour or so just to cure for the Loctite to go to functional strength. We're now ready to fit this sprocket casing, which I have cleaned. It's 3 bolts that hold it on, 8mm headed, and as you can see one is shorter than the other 2. The short one goes in that one there. As you might notice on the cover, these have got metal collars in, that one hasn't, because the metal collar is part of the fixing. So let's get this on. When you're doing them up, you don't need to over tighten them, they're only an M6 thread. So just nip them up, that's all you need to do. You might notice I'm holding the ratchet just up at the top. It's because I'm quite heavy handed and I'd easily over tighten these, so just got to be nipped up, they're not holding the bike together. Many thanks for watching this video. I hope that will help anybody that wants to change the chain and sprockets on an Aprilia Tuono. To be honest, some of the basic procedures will be the same for any motorcycle. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm always grateful for anyone that watches my videos. Until next time, ride safe and goodbye.